Nice to meet you, and thank you for being here today. I'm very excited.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So what would you like to start with, and would you like to tell me how long you've been working on the piece you're playing?
So I will be playing Prokofiev Sonata 6, Movement 4. I started working on it a few years ago, actually, so it's been almost 2 years
Oh,
since I've
great.
been started working on it. Yeah. And so I've been doing this piece for quite a while and had a few months of break for this piece in those 2 years, but yeah.
Have you played the entire sonata in that time?
Yes, I have several times.
Beautiful. Well, I'm excited to hear you.
Thank you. Should I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Your Honor, thank you so much. I'm gonna interrupt you because we have very little time, and I would love to tell you a little bit. That is a wonderful clarity that you have, and I'm glad that you don't. The way you play doesn't feel like certain things are difficult for you. For a lot of pianists that struggle with these. What concerns me a little bit is the way you think in this music. I always feel like you're propelling yourself through the second beats of every measure. So when I listen to you, I don't feel stable. This music and this movement is almost like an ostinato. Do you know what ostinato is? It's something. It's a repetitive. Either it's sustained note or it's a repetitive gesture, a repetitive note. Pum, 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 pum. So you need to feel that pulsation in your ears at all times because that pulsation gives the character for this music. What happens? You think more in, which is in a sense good. It sounds like you're thinking in the bigger picture, in the bigger phrases, but because you're thinking in the bigger phrases, you're also shifting in terms of your tempo a little bit. So it goes so be careful with every fourth, eighth note in your measure. Basically, last beat. Because if it falls, if it becomes slightly faster than the beginning of the measure, because in the beginning of the measures, beginnings of your measures, you're playing in your normal tempo. It fluctuates like this and gives away a very unsettled feeling, which is strange because you're playing all the notes correctly and everything is prepared and everything is wonderful. But because you're not listening to overall pulse, it gets very, very unstable. At the same time, are you familiar with Prokofiev's orchestral music?
Not as familiar now.
I would suggest that you listen to some of his symphonic works. I would suggest you listen to his 7th Symphony. I would suggest you listen to his 5th Symphony. I would suggest you listen more carefully to his piano concertos. And I'm saying this because Prokofiev is a very poetic and romantic composer. We don't really think about him this way because I'm having such a such amount of sun coming on my face. We don't really think about Prokofiev as poetic composer because we are absorbed by the edginess of his music, and we're absorbed by technical demands of his music, and we're absorbed by this character and kind of aggressive part. And yes, it takes a lot of effort to bring these things on. But when you get into the second theme, it cannot sound almost the same as the previous material, because if you did not know, if you look at this page, that melody itself, if you did not know what was before, you would think that this is a landscape piece with very, very poetic accompaniment that has nothing to do with this very characteristic and moto and perpetuum mobile kind of motion that this movement has overall. So having this second theme as an oasis of that beauty would actually enhance the effect that you have in the fast and aggressive parts. Because if you kind of run through it doesn't catch the listener. It doesn't show the listener, oh, look, there's something else. There's some variety in this music. So overall, the best thing, even when you see the piece has a certain character, a certain tempo, a certain demand, if you can find in that piece a single moment of difference, a single moment of contrast, try your best to bring that contrast out. It's just like as if you're opening the door and you entering completely different world. You know, like in the Narnia movie, like you open the door of the closet and there's like completely different world in there. This is how these poetic themes should arrive. Just like, oh, what is this? You need to be surprised yourself. At the same time, would you like to try in the beginning listening to the pulse of eighth notes and thinking ahead of how you're going to play your second theme the way it could sound drastically different? I would appreciate that.
Okay, I can try.
Thank you. Thank you. Also, you don't have to be metronomically accurate when you finish one phrase and you start another phrase. These whole sections, da 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 da, and then da 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 da. This is, it's a little closure that finishes this particular little section. So if you go bam bam da da dum taka 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 ta, it doesn't give us the sense of, okay, this is one part has ended and something else is starting. Don't be afraid to put a little tesora in between. Don't be afraid of giving yourself some more time to reflect on. So it will be a little bit separated for your own processing and for processing of your listeners. Okay, that was much better. That was more rhythmically stable, but you still think you still have to think more careful about the endings of every measure. And when you practice, just pay more attention to the endings of the measure. And also those forzandos can be a little more. It can be just a little bit more for the better contrast as well. Another thing. Oh.
That don't keep going. That was just me. I'm just.
What happened?
I'm just showing the audience the score. Keep going.
The sforzandos. There are different types of sforzandos that can be addressed different ways. But since we have a quarter notes there, and quarter notes are heavy, and everything before in that movement so far was piano. It's piano, mezzo piano, then a little bit un poco crescendo, but we don't have anything major in terms of dynamics up to this point. So suddenly these sforzandos come in, and it has to be like bright, a light, like something very sad. And still, Anna, I cannot stress this enough. We sometimes need to derive inspiration and appreciation of the pieces that we're playing, comparing them to other pieces of the composer. And for understanding, think about the opening measures of the third piano concerto. It's so poetic and so beautiful, and in such a profound and sensitive way. And if you think about it, it's fast, but it has same kind of little folkish character to it. It's derived from the same place that the theme from the third concerto derived. It's very related to nature, like landscape, something very calm inside. So it should not be busy, and even if it looks busy because there's a lot of notes, you still can play it in a more serene way to again provide the better contrast to what was before and for what to come. So if you look through the movement, it's basically the conversation of these two themes. It's a dialogue, fast 16 notes that are running, and they bump into this, accompanied by triplets, oases of completely different character. And the more defined from one another you can make these two themes, the more interesting and more engaging the movement overall will sound. Because you don't have too much variety overall before the third theme comes in. So you should pretend for yourself that is never going to come, and all that you're dealing with is just these two things. One is fast and kind of fuzzy, and another one is more poetic, and you kind of should milk the best and the most out of these two. So when the third comes, it will be complete shock, because it's completely new material. It's a new key, new type of accompaniment, that the repeated chord, and everything about that is almost shocking. And you need to think about, when we play something that is so famous, like this sonata is very famous, a lot of people know how it goes. So if you can think about kind of polishing your characters to the point where it sounds very fresh and unexpected, that would make your performance very successful. Because yeah, we all know pretty much how it goes, but if you can provide something that is very special, it will make a lot of difference. Can we go from, if it would be comfortable for you to start, maybe from, can you start from there? It's a one page before the G sharp theme.
One page before the G sharp theme.
It's a one, pretty much one page.
Okay.
You know when I'm.
That part?
Uh-huh. Hold on. You need to get to real piano before blasting into that theme. So when you hit dagadam, you need to do your best to go as soft as you can. I know it's just one piano, but the softer you go, the more of an effect would be the da-da-dum, bum, 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 bum. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes.
Also, bum, da-da-dum, ba-dum, ba. You have these accents. Do not neglect the accents, because the accents here mark the peaks, the lowest note and the highest note of the melody that goes from here and goes all the way there. So give yourself a little bit time before the accents to really place it.
Okay.
Keep going. Anna, when you're playing, you cannot speed up there. Your left hand is your measure. It's constant. It's like a metronome. I understand. The brilliance of that passage is very attractive. You kind of want to, but that's not the right place to do that. This is not like a passage in a Chopin concerto that is kind of free and you can just kind of go whenever direction you want. It has to be strict, because you know, they say
Oh, I think Asya is having some connection problems. All right, we'll try to get her back. Okay. All right. I'll start my video. But I'll just show our audience which part she was talking about. Show computer sound. Let's see. Right. It's right here. Great job, by the way, Anna. That's hell of a performance. It's a really hard piece. What are you a piano major, or what what do you do right now?
I'm currently a senior in high school, so I haven't quite yet gone to college, but
Oh, I see. And are you thinking of music, or music, or not music?
I'm planning on pursuing music as more of a hobby on the side, but I definitely will be keeping it with me.
Gotcha. And how long have you studied piano?
I started studying piano in 2008, I believe, so however many years that is, I can't do math.
2008. So that's 12 years. 12 years. Wow. 12 years you're already playing big sonatas. That's amazing. So
I'm doing my best.
yeah, it takes a lot of dedication and focus and just hard work to I think to even get past the intermediate, like the Czerny, a lot of people quit after Bach inventions. So it's amazing that you can do that. And where are you from?
I'm from Massachusetts in the United
Massachusetts.
States.
And is that where you are right now?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Oh, I think if I'm not mistaken, she's getting back in. Oh, but I can't see. Let's see which one. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome back. I had a nice chat. I had a
Wi-Fi
That's okay. It happens.
suddenly died, and now I am connecting my computer through my phone, through my cellular connection, because I don't know what's going on with Wi-Fi. It just died.
Okay. That works. This works. I hope it's not costing you a lot of money to to do the cellular thing.
Okay.
All right.
It's fine.
Keep going. All right.
Yeah, I don't know when exactly I was cut off, but
So you were talking about the da 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 da. I think da 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 da, that part, right? And
I was talking about that part, and Ada played an excerpt, and she was kind of taking the time in the 16 notes passages a little bit more deliberately, and I was trying to stress that in this section it is very important to listen to your left hand and to not move anywhere. And even I understand it's very attractive to move forward in the 16 note passages. You have to hold yourself and rather focus not on the speed but on the intensity of the right hand passage, like da 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 da. So it will be like really clear and really directed within the passage, so you will listen exactly to what chromaticisms are happening in your passage. Would you please try one more time that section? Okay, thank you. Thank you. That was a little better. I understand you already have a certain habit of playing it this way, and it's hard to change it on the spot. But when you will be practicing, please do not move it anywhere. It should not go any faster or any slower. It just has to be exactly the way you started the passage.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian, for assisting our cause.
Yep, yep.
Listen how every two notes align with each other. So do not think in the way where you're going abstractly and accompanying yourself with the left hand. Think about how they align and how they're represent the same thing, not the melody and accompaniment, but the one entity.
Okay.
Okay, good. Let us go further from that place further.
Okay. So should I like replay the section and then move on?
Yeah. Listen to your left hand.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen to your left hand. You're speeding up. Anna, see, you have a wonderful flexibility here in terms of how you're doing your lines in a more reflective way, right? You allowing yourself to fluctuate in tempo a little bit. And I mean, it's a matter of taste. I would play this a little more strictly, but the way you listen to the way you listen to this material, that attention, that type of attention you are giving this, you need to treat that second theme in the beginning of the movement, which is faster, in the same way. So there would be a connection because material here is related, right? But the way you play it, it's not really. It's a reminiscence from the first moment, right? And it's a reminiscence of so many things that happened, but also it's a character reminiscence, and it reminds a little bit of the second theme in this movement. And I think that you're playing a little bit too slow here for Andante. Andante has a little more like a slow walk in the park pace. With a little more direction. So make sure you're not finding yourself in a place where you kind of play one note at a time, or when it goes to 3/4 and this progression starts growing. you still need to think about how to create a phrase that logically brings your listener somewhere. So try to think forward and not play one chord at a time. Try to connect them and gradually build them, and think about how many times this progression that goes down repeats. In the different forms, it repeats how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's growing and gets more complicated, but doing a accelerando, gradual accelerando on it as you were doing, I don't think it's right, because that takes the emphasis away from the repetitiveness of the progression, which is wonderful here because each time it gets bigger and bigger. So try to make it a little more steady. I'm not saying completely straight, but try to make it a little more steady, maybe not that slow, but more directed. And so you, once you start here, instantly think about where it goes when already octaves come in. You know what I mean?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, could you start right from here? My dear Anna, what's the difference between the thirds that you're playing here versus the third that you're playing in the beginning of Andante section?
They're slightly slower.
How they are slightly slower?
They are 16th notes.
Yes. So they're exactly twice as slow. They're not. So if you go one ta 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 ta, it goes. This is the rhythm that Prokofiev wrote.
Okay.
Do not replace them with 30-second notes. Many people do that. Many people do that. It's a lot of, it's very easy to make that mistake because the thirds themselves are the same, but make a point of making them drastically different because they're exactly twice as slow as the ones that ta-da-dum, ta-da-dum, make them melodic rather than almost like an embellishment. Okay? Okay, let's try.
I just wanted to remind everyone we're out of time already, so let's wrap up after this. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Still too fast. So if you think in 16 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. It's that slow.
Okay.
You don't be afraid of that because that is how it's written. I know it may sound unusual, but it's the way it's written.
Okay.
Okay? Yes. Very good. Thank you so much. Well, in the way the movement progresses, a lot of things apply. A lot of the same things apply that we already covered. I'm sorry we have had very little time for this, but it was wonderful to work with you.
Thank you very much for your feedback. It's very valuable to me.
Thank you, Anna. Great performance. Thank you. We hope to see you again in the future. All right.
Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
All right. So
That was great.
that was fun.